We'll start our, good morning. We'll now start our planning meeting for the conversation on racism. First thing on our agenda is the planning. And we want to start out by thanking Bruce Barnes for operating the Zoom for us. And we need to plan the date, first of all. Let's get that out of the way. If you have your calendars in front of you.
Okay, I'm still punching buttons here, Saluda. Frankly, I just got the pictures up. Okay, yeah, I got a calendar.
Yes, I have my calendar.
Okay, Freddie had said one time that he would like to do it for the early part of September. What did your feelings on that, Angela?
Why are we waiting in September?
No, that's just a question. So you don't want to wait that long. What date you suggest?
Fellow council members, the only reason I know today's August the 7th, of course, and I don't have a problem doing it earlier than that. I was just thinking about other people, really. Schools maybe starting back, people on vacation before school starts, Labor Day coming up. Typically after that, things always sort of somewhat slow down. That was the only reason that I suggested that we put it off until after Labor Day. But I don't have a problem with starting it at any time. I think if you intend to draw, some, and I don't know how many y'all might be expecting, of course, but if you intend to draw a crowd or get some people involved, sometimes you got to give proper notice. I mean, I don't think we can start this thing next week.
Well, no, I wasn't talking about next week. But if it's a Zoom call, I'm saying all you got to do is get on your computer, get on your phone, call in.
Okay, now we keep in mind that we do have to have time to promote it and to contact people. And as you know, with the Zoom, and I may use the wrong terminology, you have like participants and then you have attendees that people just chat in questions and stuff. And then you have the people who are actually plus our facilitator. So keeping that in mind, I don't have a date in mind, but I would think we need to wait at least 2 weeks. So with that in mind, can y'all, let's agree on a date.
So you want to look at the last week of August, the week of August 21st, 24th, or you're going to look at the first week in September?
I don't have a date in mind. I can agree to give a date and let's see if we can agree on it.
But throw a date out there then.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this now, as we consider dates too. What I think somewhat maybe more important would be a day of the week. Mondays always seem to be a busy time for a lot of people, so I'd sort of knock out a Monday. Friday's always be an important time for a lot of people as they wind the week down and are ready to turn off maybe to something else. So I would think Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday are better days personally. That's just personal. Now, as far as the date goes, again, let me just say this. I don't have any problems with any dates, and whatever y'all seem to think or is an appropriate time or enough time to plan, then that would be all that suit me.
Okay, let me throw a date out then. August 25th.
When is our next council meeting?
18th.
18, okay.
Is that date agreeable?
It works for me.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
Okay, let me entertain a motion for that date then. Will somebody move for the 25th?
I make a motion we move to the having the meeting on August the 25th.
Okay. Will you give us a second?
I second.
Okay. It's been moved in second that we do our Zoom on August the 25th. Everybody in agreement? Aye. Aye.
Uh,
Okay, so we'll do August 25th. Now, the time. What time? Keeping in mind, a lot of people, probably will be off from work, and we don't want it to interfere with people's jobs, and we want it at a time when they can be attended. What's the best time? I'm thinking
well,
7 o'clock.
that sounds good to me.
That works.
Okay. So someone give me a motion for 7, please.
I make a motion for 7 p.m.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Been moved and second that we do 7 o'clock. All those in agreement, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. There's no nays. So we know that August the 25th at 7. Now for our panelists, and I use that word because I don't know another word. It may not be the proper term. Angela has sent me some names in, and some people had called or sent emails or expressed interest. And then, Freddie, do you have names of people that you would like to suggest to participate as a panelist?
I do not.
Okay. Okay, we have time, and I can share with you those names that I have. Those names are Gene Stowe, Trip Hams, Swindle Edwards, Michael Hall, Matthew Belt, Jose Santiago, Melvin Tate, Russell Asti, Dwayne Blunt, Ryan Curitan, and Langley Lancaster. And as far as females, Monique Craig, Sharon Edwards, Benita Sanders, Bess Crest, Althea Tucker, Tamara Williams, Pat Kell, Kathy Bragg, Emily Miles, Claudia Sandover, and Yolanda Baker. Did anybody object to any of those names?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Well,
What about Tiffany Wilson? I don't think her name was mentioned.
Okay, I can add her.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you, Archie, you've added one there, Saluda. Now, how many members does that bring this up to?
This will be, hold on, let me count them. That's 23, and I did not count us. That's 23. Oh, let me make this point as well. Only 3 council members can participate as a panelist, because more than that would constitute us having a meeting, unless we get with Majid and find another way. But they can participate as an attendee to listen in and ask questions, and I think that is correct. But we can get a ruling from Majid whether that is correct.
I don't have a problem with that. I say just leave it at that, and if they want to come, let them come. Like you said, they're going to be able to comment, and they don't have to necessarily be panelists.
That's absolutely true. May I get a motion on these names? And that does not mean that would be all of them, because I guess people can still, any council member can still, any member of the community can still call in or write in that really want to participate. May
Saluda,
I have
let me ask a question right quick. Do all those people live in Monroe, the names that you mentioned?
As far as I know, because we want to try to keep it to Monroe residents.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a, now let me ask you again now, these invitees and this next meeting, is that necessarily going to be maybe a meeting of just the people you named and our 3, or is it going to be Zoom? And are you saying
this will be the actual Zoom?
Yeah, and so it would be Zoom, and then people could. Bruce would have to answer this possibly, I guess, but other people would be able to come into the Zoom meeting or comment?
Yeah, by chat. But Bruce, like you said, Bruce could answer that better than I.
This Bruce Bounds, we can, we can accommodate with our current configuration 100 people, but we can also live stream it on our YouTube channel with an unlimited audience that way for just to hear. But we can have up to 100 people that can actually participate in the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
May I have a motion on these names?
Hold on, I got a question right quick.
Okay.
Stephen, there was somebody in the that made a chat. I don't know the last name. All I got is from Stephen. They said they would like to be interested in being on the panel list.
What is the name?
Stephen.
And the last name?
It don't show the last name. Or
Okay,
Davis. Stephen Davis. They just gave it to me.
Okay, okay, and he is a Monroe resident.
I'm not. Well, he's listening, so I'm gonna see if he's gonna chat.
Mr. Davis, are you a Monroe resident?
Actually, I live in Indian Trail. I was the candidate that ran for county commissioner.
Oh, yes, I know you, Stephen. Stephen, would you mind on the Zoom rather than being a panelist, either watching the live stream or coming on as an attendee?
I don't mind.
Thank you.
What about Athea then? Is she a Monroe resident?
I think she is. Is she not?
I don't know.
We'll check though. If anybody on here is not, then we will exclude them.
Okay,
and then they can be on as an attendee. I'll check that name.
Okay,
I'm going to exclude her name now, and then we'll check in the interim.
Yeah, we just want to make sure all the panelists are Monroe residents. Okay.
Absolutely. May I have a motion on these names? And this is depending upon them accepting.
This is Ashley Britt. I just want to interject. I did not say that during the first vote we need to have everybody say their names when they make a motion and second. Okay. So if we could please do that for this vote and then go back and do that for the one with the date and the time. I apologize for that. We just need to have everybody say their name before they vote, please.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get this motion and then we'll go back and make a correction on the date and time.
Okay, hold on. Look, we got another name, Carly and Lander would like to be on the panel as well. Both are.
Spell that last name.
Engler, Englander.
Okay, and Miss Engler, are you a Monroe resident?
Yes, she's a Monroe resident, and Chris Barnes is a Monroe resident.
Okay. Miss Englander will be added then.
That's
we
Carly.
get? I'm sorry. Carly.
Her first name is Carly. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a name, and I'm going to submit these names to all of this to Bridget after our meeting. Maybe we get a motion, please, for these names. Yes.
Did you get that Christine Barnes? I think she popped up there and said she wanted to be a panelist too. Did you get her name? Okay.
Yeah, Christine Barnes. Is Miss Barnes a Monroe resident?
She is.
Okay, no problem. I guess I have Miss Barnes and I have Miss Engler as well.
Correct. And then Ernest Collins, could that name be added?
Madam Chairperson, we could maybe to facilitate the collection of panelists, we could set up a template or a form online that people can self-nominate, because what it sounds like is there's not really an objection to y'all not sitting out an objection to a number of panelists, and because I think as this gets promoted, there'll probably be more interest in, and maybe panelists isn't the right name, but reference point, but maybe it's participants. So we can do that if that would help. We work through Bruce and IT, and probably have a kind of look or feel like our public comment form that we use for the regular council meeting. But we'll circle back with Bruce and see how to make that work. And if it's important that they identify whether they're a city resident or not, and how that, whether if you want to set that up as a filter, in other words, if they're a city resident, they can be a direct participant. If they're not a city resident, then you want them to be just listening only. That's maybe some guidance you can give us, but we can set it I think we can pretty sure we can set up maybe an electronic form that's easily accessible that folks could, you know, if you will, self-nominate to participate or listen, if that helps.
Okay, that would help.
Well, I
So-
agree with all that. I mean, I didn't come into this with a number or trying to restrict it at anything. Only that I'm certain that this is going to go beyond one meeting. And so, you know, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And on August 25th, if everybody that wanted to participate didn't have that chance, I mean, this will probably take more than one meeting. So, but as far as the panelists go, you know, and the comments, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Can I consider that a motion?
Yes.
Yeah, say your name, Freddie.
Please, thank you.
Well, hey, I think that might have been Ashley on earlier, and I thought if she recommended that we have to say each name individually and vote and second, there had to be an easier way to go about this. So, but I'll make this a motion and go from there.
Okay.
Say your name. You gotta
Your
say
name,
your
please.
name.
Yeah, Freddie Gordon. I make
Thank
a motion
you.
to accept these people that have been named as panelists for our next meeting on August the 25th at 7 p.m.
Is there a second?
Councilwoman James seconded.
Okay. Okay. All those agree. Could you give your name and I? Mr. Gordon?
James, I.
Freddie Gordon, aye.
Salute Anthony, aye. Any opposed? So these names have been accepted. We need to go back to our date and time and vote again. Those in favor of August 25th at 7 o'clock for the date and time of the Zoom, please vote by giving your name and your vote.
Can somebody
James,
make a motion, please?
Okay.
We got to
Councilwoman
make
James, make a motion.
again? Okay. Is there a second?
Thank you.
Ready to get a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Yeah,
Okay.
say your name, Freddie.
Yeah, okay. Freddie Gordon, I second
It has
Mrs.
been moved and
James'
seconded
motion.
that August 25th be the date of the Zoom. Okay, Mr. Gordon, how do you vote?
I vote in favor of August 25th, 2020, 7 p.m.
Thank
Four.
you.
Councilwoman James, vote yes for August 25th at 7 p.m.
Salute Anthony, vote yes for August 25th, 7 p.m. for our Zoom. Thank you. Information on the facilitator, and that is Dr. Samuel James. And let me send this, I'll send this to each of you. The information I found on him. He is the president and founder of Interscope Consulting. I'm just going to brief this because it's too much of it. And he does Fortune 500 countries, where some of them Wells Fargo, Bank of America, St. Paul Insurance Company, Williams Companies, etc. And internationally does DACO and Delhaize. I may be mispronouncing it. Works effectively to address racial issues and diversity issues with employees and communities. Does consulting with various corporate entities. He's a highly valued lecturer, presenter, facilitator, keynote addresser. He has featured in articles in Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, New York News, Charlotte Observer, Washington Post, National Public Radio. I'm not reading it all. He has been he has spoken to Congress on several occasions. He's a graduate of Livingstone College, where he got his bachelor's. He received his master's from Duke University and his doctor's from Drew University. He has served in the 12th district under Congressman Mel Watt as an advisor, was advisor to Presidents Clinton and Obama. I'm sending that to you because this is too much to read.
Right. Carlota, could I ask a question?
Yes.
Now, one, I don't know this gentleman, but he certainly does sound qualified. But my question would be, have we got to pay this guy?
He has not. He said that he would not charge us. We can, because we really, I don't think we could afford him.
I don't think we can.
It is no charge. No charge.
I'm all for
we
it.
might want
if
to talk
he's no
about
charge now.
honorarium later on, but that we don't have to worry about now.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion for Dr. James to be our facilitator?
Councilwoman James make a motion for James to be the facilitator.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yes, Freddie Gordon here. I do second him. The only reservation I had was he seemed to be very highly qualified, and I wasn't sure if he was going to make a fee. And you know, fees
There's no fee involved.
fees are always important to me, but I will second.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded that Dr. James Samuel be our facilitator. What is your pleasure, Councilman Gordon?
Yeah, I seconded the motion. I agree. I say aye.
Okay. Councilwoman James.
James, aye.
Councilwoman Anthony, aye. So we have a date, August 25th, 7 o'clock. We have a facilitator and we have potential panelists. So I think we have achieved our goal this morning of planning and information. So at this time, we'll entertain the motion to adjourn this meeting.
Aye, Councilwoman James. Say we adjourn.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yes, I do have a question though. And our manager included some things that we wanted to think about, and
Exactly.
And some of those were obviously, I think, you know, inclusion and your access goals, things have been defined here, and that kind of thing. Would we want to get into anything like some form of timeline or action or conclusion on this, or do we just want it to be possibly something ongoing? You know, the next meeting, when you start including a facilitator and people, that's going to take a little longer. And then I was just wondering if we might like to, would future meetings be something that we were thinking about? I'm not asking for this to be a motion today or some decision made. I'm just throwing out some things here about how we might ultimately, what we want to achieve, when could we achieve them, and how long is it going to take, you know, and maybe report back to council in that regard.
Well, you know, I was thinking along those same lines. I'm thinking that, you know, from the Zoom, something may, you know, come from that. I don't know. I don't know what that might lead to. It's hard to say. But as far as this committee, our only charge was the planning of the Zoom. I think everything else would be left to council. That's my understanding.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I just was, you know, I always like to think that, I think the council is going to look to us to give them the direction and where we think this is going, blah, blah, blah. That's all.
Well, perhaps
I think it should be more than, I think it should be more than annually. I'm not saying it should be monthly, but I think this should be an ongoing goal that we're trying to achieve to make a difference in Monroe for the employees, for the citizens that live here. When we enact change, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough conversations that we're going to have. But in order to do that, policies, procedures got to change in order for things like that to work.
I absolutely agree with you. But the only thing that I'm saying, this is the only thing that we were really charged to do, and the rest of this, where it goes from here, if this committee remains the same or increases, is up to council. I agree with everything you say. There's a lot of change in the horizon, a lot of it that is needed, and this is actually the beginning. The dialogue is the beginning, and we don't know what the ending is.
And I encourage both of you, and I encourage anyone else, if y'all go and look at WSOC TV, they had a series of talking about race, understanding racism. It was 8 segments, just short videos that they had on it. And I was able to watch that, and it was some good things that I saw in that. It talked about disparity with banks in different communities. It talked about a couple other things too as well. And even with the city of Monroe, some residents that talk about their utility bills. I had asked a couple of friends about their bills, and they all electric, so it's not natural gas. So is there an opportunity to have natural gas there so their utilities can be less? So things like that I was able to get from that. So I'm looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to it too. And we don't know what the Zoom is going to produce. I'm going, I'm looking to it positively and open-minded and with great anticipation.
Madam Chairperson, I would ask the committee maybe spend a little bit of time today, this morning, thinking about the structure of the meeting on the 25th. In other words, when you adjourn today, there's someone's going to have a conversation with the facilitator, and the facilitator is going to ask, well, what is it that you want to accomplish? Is there a structure of the meeting? Are there going to be are there elements that you want brought out? Is there a theme? Policy? I heard during today's conversation, is policy a theme that you want brought out in the conversation? Which may be varied with relationships in general, or banking, or there's a big table there that the conversation try to cover, which is good. Which is fine, but if nothing else is said at this meeting, you're going to have a facilitator, reaching out to me or reaching out to you, Councilwoman, or reaching out to someone saying, what do you want me to facilitate? Beyond, in addition to a conversation on racism, but where do you want to kind of, you would just want to foster awareness?
That was my understanding. We didn't want the whole elephant at one time. My understanding was a conversation on racism to help us understand what it is, the different components of it, differentiating between institutional and systemic, and helping us to understand biases and why, the history and why it is what it is, and helping people to identify different segments of it. I don't think we're going to get into the big realm of policy and everything all in one Zoom. Is too big. And the conversation with community would not include the policies in my thinking. That is something that would be done with the council and staff. And it may be something said or some question asked in the Zoom that may lead us to do that. But I think if you have too broad a spectrum, that you don't really accomplish much, because you're trying to cover too much, and that doesn't foster understanding. That's my opinion.
I think those are, this is Larry, I think those are excellent points, and I would maybe ask the committee to pick up on the points that the chair just mentioned in kind of trying to frame, wrap your heads around 2, 3, 4, 5 elements that then can be taken to the facilitator. And I think it's going to be a back and forth. I think there's any meeting that a high level meeting I've tried to facilitate or brought a facilitator in, there's a conversation, 2 or 3 conversations where we flesh out, the goals, if you will, from a facilitation standpoint, not necessarily in product standpoint, that the facilitator is going to help us with. And so I think to put this on its best possibility of success for the first meeting, that would probably be helpful, is picking up on some of the points that the chair mentioned on as elements to share with the facilitator. So I would, I'm certainly not trying to, I don't want to come across as dictating, but I think if it is left wide open, which coming into the session is how it looked to me, is a broad subject. I think there's a risk that participants on the 25th would leave frustrated because it's what direction we thought it was going to be this, and it wound up being that.
Exactly that.
That's a good point. Can I suggest something? Can we solicit the community on surveys, ask them questions, what things they want to discuss, and get feedback?
Well, we got a small window here, and I don't know that, I'm not throwing water on that, but it's, we could get anything back. And what I'm afraid of is somebody who suggested to ask something, if that's not included, then that's bad feelings. And maybe the committee can do a call with the facilitator, get his views on how to handle a conversation about racism. He does this all of the time, and I think he might have a good idea to give us how to handle just the conversation about racism, bring it into some perspective.
That's a good suggestion.
This is Ashley Britt. If the committee wants to do a call, we'll have to set that up as a public meeting if it's all three committee members.
Ooh.
But as a suggestion, just try to save all that brain power there. Why, if the committee would indulge this suggestion, is empower the chair to have that conversation, and maybe y'all have another meeting to review that results, but it can be hard. It's hard enough putting 3 or 4 people's schedules to get them to jive.
It really is.
And a facilitator as well. He sounds like a busy person. So I would encourage maybe leaving it to Councilwoman Saluda Anthony to have a conversation with the person, with Dr. Samuels, and flesh out that initial thoughts, and maybe it's solved, but bring it back to the committee in, say, a week, 10 days. Certainly before the 25th, maybe on the 18th at the council meeting, there could be a conversation that could make it easy.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's what I would suggest.
I mean, if we can do it before then, I'll be doing the DNC at that time. If you could, I would appreciate if you give me that opportunity to do that. But having it a little earlier than the 18th, maybe 4 days. I don't think that'll take a lot of time to contact him.
Well,
maybe next week.
Councilperson Gordon here. I agree with Larry, and it does sound, Saluta's obviously made this initial contact with this individual to be the facilitator. She certainly has my authority to contact him, get his feelings on where he thinks it ought to go, and etc. And then if that date of the 25th is going to suit him, and then anything else that he may recommend, I don't have any problem with Saluda having that authority. And I don't even have to have another meeting, but I will certainly participate if Saluda and Angelia would like to get together before the 25th. Fine.
That was my thought too, Freddie. I don't have to have another meeting if Saluda gonna take care and handle this. With what discussions we need to discuss with the facilitator, I'm fine with it. I don't need to see it before. I'm good.
Okay, and perhaps we can ask them for an outline, and then we can see, but we agree with that. How about is that
Yeah.
agreeable?
Yeah, that's fine.
Freddie's fine.
Okay. If I start to say if all hearts and minds are satisfied, I forget where I was, but so I think this concludes this meeting. Unless you want to give me a date to get back with you after discussing this with Dr. Samuels.
You said before the 18th, right?
Prior to the 18th. The 18th I won't be here.
Okay.
Is next week fine? So next let me look at this calendar one more time. This is the 7th. If I can contact, find out by the 12th. Is that agreeable?
Councilwoman James agree. That's fine with me.
Freddie Gordon, that's fine.
Okay, so by the 12th, I would have talked to him, got that outline, and bring it back to you.
This is Ashley. So are you scheduling a special meeting of this committee for the 12th?
No, I'm not scheduling a meeting. They both expressed interest in not having a meeting. I was going to get the outline and everything and share it. I wanting to stay legal and all, but
Okay, I just wanted to note that if you are going to be discussing anything with as a committee, we'll need to notice that as a special meeting.
okay.
But maybe this will help. What I'm understanding, Ashley and Councilwoman Suda Anthony, is that there'll be an update provided, perhaps via email. If it's provided to, say, myself or to Deborah or the clerk,
Okay.
it can be resent in the same manner that we do other information that's for update purposes, not for voting purposes, but just update purposes. And we've handled just the transmission of data in that manner. If that's kind of what the chair is thinking of and the committee was thinking of,
It is.
I think we can handle that without going through the formality and so forth of having a meeting. If you want to have a meeting, we'll certainly work towards that end.
Yes, sir. I think that would work if the committee would like to do it that way.
Okay.
Yes, that works for Councilwoman James.
Freddie Gordon, yes, that works for me. Less
Okay.
for me, it's better.
Well, we want to thank everyone that dialed in for their interest. And I thank the staff and committee members, and the Zoom is a go. We look forward to great things. Thank you. Y'all have a great day and be safe.
And this is Ashley again. I believe Councilmember James voted to adjourn the motion, but adjourn the meeting, but I don't think we ever got a full vote on that.
Okay.
Larry got in the way.
Did you second that, Freddie?
Yes, I do second it. And
Okay. So it's
we've
been
all
moved and
good
second that we adjourn. What is your vote, Freddie? Do you vote to adjourn?
reluctantly, I vote to adjourn.
James, yes.
Reluctantly.
Luther Anthony, yes. So this
Okay.
meeting was
I
concluded.
enjoyed my company with you ladies today.
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a great weekend.
Bye.